It doesn't seem to be doing anything. If it gets yellow around the edge of it, then that means there's something active growing in it. This can offer an opening for some secondary infection, but as long as the plant's healthy and it's turgid and it's got water, it's not dehydrated, then that probably isn't going to happen.
So that wouldn't need a fungicide then to get rid of that right now?
It won't go away because that's dead tissue.
How about, do you ever do systemic fungicides?
There are, but these are generally not problemated by anything, amazingly enough. So now here's a bulb that's yellow and dead. We're going to take it off, and we don't need it anymore. So just throw it in there. This one's still got life in it, so we leave it. Okay, this is a leaf, obviously. Wow. This is called the petiole. And when they describe these stanhopeas, they describe whether it's long or short petiole, and it's one of those words that Jen probably flumped on this morning.
So this is you, Paul.
Yeah.
Okay, so I believe what it would look like.
It's like nomenclature. They were laughing. They didn't know what that meant.
They're not really bulbs, but they're swelled stems for water storage and food storage.
Hold it up. There you go. Well, we've got the full with his namesake, or the namesake with his full.
Yeah, really.
Except I couldn't use stanhopea because someone already had stanhope. So I had to make stan and hopi like an Indian tribe.
Yeah.
And I had to munch it, obviously.
That's what I thought it was.
Yeah. Well, I get called Stan all the time because of that now. So. But anyway, let's see.
And
so
then you just took that off a tree. You found the right tree and just stole it.
Yeah,
I just peeled it off. You know, there wasn't a lot of loose bark.
Liberated it. I'm sorry.
I frankly think that this was a different species than Melaleuca leucadendron.
Oh, okay.
It's a different Melaleuca.
We may have to go on an expedition to find more trees to.
Okay.
We need Barry for that one.
You should be good at that. You're always paying your cardboard. It's right by the emissions place where we bought it. Instead of going right, you go left.
What kind of bark is it?
Melaleuca. It's from Australia.
Yeah,
in that area, it's a eucalypt. It's the same group of trees that's on Savannah Park that they want to get rid of. But that doesn't look to have papery bark.
No, it doesn't.
Will we get in trouble in the park if
California.
if we find it? Do we?
Oh no! No, they want to cut
Say
them all
it's
down.
medicinal. We need
If you go to Fort Myers in Florida and drive down 41 to Naples, on the east side of the road, it's a solid forest of Melaleuca. It comes up from the roots. You can't even put your arm between the trunks, and it pumps the water out. They tried burning it, and the problem with that is its seed is distributed when they have fires in Australia. And it's like face powder, and it just blows away.
Well, that also, and it burns the outer shell of the seed so it can germinate. It needs that high temperature for it to actually germinate.
Well, there's like little sections of Tootsie Rolls all along the rachis or a stem, where the flowers look like yellow powder puffs, and they smell like overly salted buttered mashed potatoes. And some people are allergic to that too. So that smell.
Overly salted.
Okay.
Is this what we call the naked Indian tree? Is that what it is?
I'm sorry?
Is it what we call the naked Indian tree?
No.
It's a different one there. Okay, but there's a lot of these in
That's gumbo limbo, I think.
Yeah, right. Then there's Syrah, which also peels its bark here. Terminalia, it's a type of Terminalia. It's beautiful. Yeah, it's very, very clean looking because it does the same thing.
You'll get them. You've been exposed to them. So next time you hear them,
nomenclature was a really rough one for me. I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah, I usually don't bother you.
Then you can say, I heard that word, but I still don't know what it is.
They sent me a definition today or a description, and I'm like, I don't know.
Okay, now need to soak this a little bit. The reason I was asking for this online before, it's all cleaned, it's fibrous, it holds together, so when you get it done and wet, I squeeze it out, and then I fluff it a little bit, and then I drop it into the lined basket. So this is almost enough to do the one basket right now.
But that's not native to Costa Rica.
Yes, it's.
Oh, it is.
There are sphagnums here.
Yes.
And this is called Chilean sphagnum, but it's the same species as they market for orchids called New Zealand sphagnum. So it grows all over the place, you know. Okay, see, this has taken up almost all the water. That's how absorptive it is. So, all right, this is what I'll do. Squeeze it out and put it here.
It's related, yeah.
What's that now?
The green stuff they call llama here.
Okay.
That they sell around Christmas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, to put it in the
It's
main.
live moss then?
Yeah, it's like a sphagnum moss.
It goes in the portales then?
Yeah, yeah.
How come they don't sell that very many places? We
Because
stopped right here at Vivero Central, and the way in he goes, no.
he knew what it was though, didn't he?
Oh, he sure did. We
He
said,
said, well, they sell
Jennifer asked him,
orchids.
she said, well, how do you get yours? And he goes, do you go out and pull it out
Go out and pull it out of the
in
trees.
the trees? And he
But-
went,
Well, a lot of places they've over harvested it. So you have these really, you know, it's been really destructive with all the portals, with all the, all those.
See, the other thing is if you buy it from, you find it at ferias a lot of times. It'll be have been
seen it
collected
at
out of the woods somewhere. But it's not it's not cleaned, and it might be several different species. And it's good to have the one species, as I was explaining to Jen, because then you know it's all going to break down at the same rate, rather than one not lasting as long, and then you have a mess in your basket. So let's
I
take
sure wish we
this.
had a Michael's here. We could just run to and get all this kind of stuff that, you know?
Michael's. I like that.
Okay.
Next time a gringo asks me what kind of business, get a franchise.
Even Home Depot would work.
Yeah, Home Depot.
All right,
is
let's
nice.
see how we can do this now. All right. This is just sort of catch as catch can. And the bigger the sheet, then the more you can deal with it. Now this one you can tear here. Put it in here.
We just have to like GPS mark where these trees are so we can find them.
I'm not telling because now I know where they are and I can get some.
You can sell it
Yeah.
To at least 3 or 4 people.
by the kilo.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have
Exactly.
a market right here.
Yeah.
Well, for all the trouble it is to go into the woods
Yeah,
and
for your
collect the stuff,
trouble.
why not buy it? You know, someone cleaned it. It comes with twigs and leaves and heaven knows what else in it. Okay.
Ants.
Ants, yeah.
I got a question for you already, what you're doing.
Okay. Okay, I've lined.
This grows from here down,
Yeah.
right?
No, the growths come up, but the inflorescences go down. The flower spikes.
You need the
Yeah,
roots.
Leaves
yeah,
up,
yeah, the
flowers
flower
down.
spikes go
Yeah.
down. Well then, how come
Just wait.
you covered the
It-
bottom
it's-
of the basket?
It's
We
coming.
want to put the sphagnum in here. We make it loose. Okay. So it's not real compact. Even though I squeezed it out, now I have to fluff it up again. Okay. We'll put our plant in here and continue to put stuff around it. Actually, before I do that, let's see. We got all the bulbs off. We got most of the dead roots off. Okay. So it's pretty clean. All right, so we put this in here, and we continue to drop sphagnum around it, so that we don't want to pack this in necessarily really tight, because we want some air in it still, because the roots need air. Now, orchids grow up on trees where the roots are designed and exposed to air, so they can dry out fast. But stanhopeas will actually, I've seen them on little horizontal branches, maybe this big around, and they grow roots. In that case, they grow roots straight up and they catch detritus, and they make a trash heap on top of themselves.
Oh, okay.
So that keeps the humidity up, and then that stuff rots down and they get food from it.
All right, I've known that word for years and I didn't know how it was pronounced.
What's
Yeah.
that?
Detritus?
I've heard it
Detritus.
pronounced detritus too.
Yeah.
It's probably East Coast, West Coast.
Yeah, I've heard it different.
He said, she said, right?
You say tomato, I say tomato.
All right. Okay, now that this is potted in here, that's it.
Wow.
Only thing else I do with it is I tap it a little bit. Okay, now when I water this, I would water it with a hose set on a little spray, very, very lightly, okay? So that it's all wet, and then I would take my
What about normal Costa Rican inundations at this time of year?
Well, that's what we're doing here. Now we poke a hole in it.
Oh, now comes the, okay, aeration.
And that keeps it from draining. Because this stuff will actually seal itself, and you can fill it up and it'll sit there for a few minutes. And that's a little too much water, so you want it to drain out some.
Looks really nice,
So, and yeah, it does. So, and I've covered the plant up a little bit, as you can see, but it likes that because it puts humidity all the way around it. And it'll start growing from this end. Okay, if you're growing a stanhopea really well, it's going to get big. And despite what it said in that brochure or that culture sheet I sent you, stanhopeas, when they get big, it curtails their flowering.
Can you
in other words,
on the branch? If we have a tree down by the river, and it for some reason broke off. And it's loaded with different kinds, different varieties, probably 30 different kinds on that tree. Can you leave it attached to the branch?
Sure. The thing of it is, it was on a branch that was near the river, over the river, so it's getting a lot of humidity.
Oh yeah.
So you want that, you want to keep that possible humidity for them. If you brought it here and laid it on the balustrade in the sun, it would all burn up, obviously. So if the orchids chose that place for a reason, because they got some shade and they got a lot of humidity. And
in the morning.
One thing I read about the canopy studies one time is that some trees get so loaded with epiphytes that they went up and were doing counts of them, and they discovered, because they trash themselves too. There's mosses and there's lichens and there's all sorts of things there, and birds crap on. The trees actually sent roots from their branch up into that mass
I've seen that.
to steal the nutrients too.
Oh, interesting.
Isn't that interesting?
They don't want to die.
Oh yeah, I've climbed up in the future.
I'm sorry?
40 feet up, you find earthworms up there.
Well, a tree actually grows its roots into the ground and takes dead things, and broken down stuff. So now we can do this one too. Does someone want to try to do this one?
Go ahead.
Get your little basket.
So Jen, do you want to do another one in one of these?
Sure.
Okay.
Do you want to do the planting?
Or
do you want me to?
It's your
Yeah,
plant.
no problem.
The tree?
Thank you. You're giving me this.
Yeah, but usually it's, by the time it does it, the other trees get so mature and so old.
What are we speaking of as a mapapalm?
It can shorten its life by
Difficult to see.
So, Paul, are we going to use this for lunch or not?
No, we don't have to do it. Did you find bark?
It's such a
Some bark. I had them bring up some potting soil.
Do you want me to grab it?
Some potting
Go for
mix.
it.
So this big bag is in your way. Could you see what I was doing?
Yeah, actually I moved it a little bit so that I could see what you were
Okay,
doing.
good. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Community sharing.
Okay. This plant that you have is a dendrobium. I'm not sure which one it is. That was from Brianna, wasn't it? That's the one you sent me the picture
that I
of.
showed you the picture of. Yeah.
It's from India, Thailand, and other areas of Asia.
And now, could I use like one of the coffee sacks in the bottom here too, and put through the holes, or is this?
I would use this because it's organic. It's resistant to breaking down in the water. As you put this in, kind of make sure it's to the edges and braced by the wire. Yes.
The one that isn't a
That's good coffee.
stanhopea, would that do okay in a smaller basket?
That looks like an oncidium or a collageney. I can't tell which. The leaf growth on that, the one smaller root growth is coming out of it, it's got rotted.
I had a pot already
I
this
have my PhD in
Right.
So you drink it all day.
But if it's what I think it is, once it gets smooth and everything, it's going to fluff it up real good. So.
I was planning
from 5 to about 8.
It'll do that when you water. And you have to water it really lightly and not put a great huge.
I'd be climbing the walls.
These stanhopeas always moist.
Not me.
They can dry out. I would put just a little more in there.
In a mood.
Not to build it up in the middle.
Yeah, that's right.
Now,
I'll bet.
they've been on, this is a baby of that.
Right.
They were on a tree for the 3 years we've been in the house and have never done anything.
So when you say it's a baby of that, it's a physical division of it?
I believe so. I saw this before I saw that. Yanked this off a year ago.
Okay.
And tied it to a piece of, one of the hanging goititis, and it still did nothing. I kept it, obviously it's alive, but...
Okay, let's have a look and see. It's got this bark here, but there's live roots on it, so I'd say let's leave that. We'll take this one away because it's just going to break down.
And since we talked to you, I went and made Bill go yank that off the tree.
Right.
I figured it wasn't the right environment because it wasn't flowering.
I'm not going to take this piece of bark away because it's got live green roots on it and they're growing. See the green tips?
Oh, look at that.
Ooh, yeah.
So we don't want, we could cut this away, but I didn't bring scissors. That's another thing that's very important. When you divide your orchids, when you divide your orchids, always use a sterile implement, a sterile implement, like go buy a box of straight razors, disposable straight razors, the ones that you slide into the holder, and make one cut on one plant only, and throw it away.
Really?
Or if you've got cutting implements, you have to sterilize them either by flaming or by THC, what is it, TC, what is it?
Oh, I know what you mean. I don't think
It's
it's available here.
I don't know. It probably is by its name. So just lay it down flat.
Alcohol or bleach.
Yeah.
Would that work?
Okay.
Alcohol or bleach.
Yeah, you could probably bleach, but then again, there are certain viruses that don't get killed by that. But the thing of it is, we are the most important vector of viruses when we cut orchids and trim them and everything. That's why I tend to pull them apart by hand myself.
The spiders that I did by hand, and the orchid kind of told me where to separate.
See this? What does this
He
mean
wants to
here?
cut this out.
That's dead. Something ate it. That looks like ants got it.
And there's like a wasp nest here.
Let's see, we got something under here.
I'm trying to learn the diseases.
So we're trying to build
So
them up.
when one's
Well, we're
yellow,
just
I think it's
well,
an insecticide
support it
you
in
use.
part
When
and
you
also
got
not
the,
leave it
when you got the
exposed to the air
dark-
at
dark
one end.
spots, you use a fungicide. So,
Okay.
look, you have these available. All you do is
Maybe a
just
little
look
more.
up a little batch and you get ones that have just this thing, and then a month later, something else.
He's for me.
I haven't got that down. I'm trying to
doesn't trust me.
figure it out.
Yeah. Now when you tap it down a little bit and then you water it, like I said, you use something that's got like a water breaker so that you don't. Well, it can be a little heavier than that.
Okay.
But what you don't want to do is just turn the hose on it and let the water, because the water will then settle everything in a little too tightly.
Okay.
Then after the roots grow a while, they're going to lock that stuff into place, and you'll know it because you'll see the activity, you'll see a new growth coming up, and once the roots get in there, they immobilize it a little more so you can water a little more freely because it won't compact down so readily.
Okay. So then I'm done here, but then I have to poke holes.
You have poke holes. You can do that when you get home.
Okay.
Just remember to do that. Water it and then poke the holes. I poked the holes first because we didn't have the facility really to do that properly here.
Paul,
Okay,
am I
excellent.
getting you, the holes are just for drainage. In terms of the actual flower, it will push through
It'll
stuff.
push through that. That's why what Holly had her 2 plants in there is like shade cloth, and the stanhopea spider probably wouldn't get through that. Right. Now, if anybody is interested in having some more information about the stanhopeas, I brought a pad somewhere, and if you'll leave me your information, your email, I'll send you copies of them. Because they're very easy to grow. It's just basically you don't want to dry out.
Is there an alternative for this material?